Good morning, everybody. What is up? I hope you are well. Welcome to Friday. It's Friday.
Whoop, whoop.
What does that actually mean in COVID times? Is it really a weekend? Real estate agents, don't we work the weekends anyways? Yes, we do. So hello everybody. Hope you are all well. Nice to see you. I'm excited to have our next session of Ignite today. You know, they're all good, and today is no different. We're going to talk about powerful language and scripting and communication, and there's going to be a lot of ahas in here for sure today. So, let's make it a great class. We'll make it participatory. I'm actually going to have you guys do some, take some notes and really, plug in and interact. Because today there's a lot of exercises that we're going to do together and chat and create some ahas around all this stuff. So let's do this. So welcome to Ignite. We are on session number 3, powerful language that gets results. I'm going to move a few screens around here. It's like a whole production team back here, but it's just me. Got all the windows open. So let's jump into this, guys. So powerful language that gets results. We are in session 3, as I said, and we are going to kind of kick it off by reminding you that we have 2 tasks, two groups of tasks that we focus on every day: grow our business and run our business. And today, the focus is going to be basically on lead generating. It's going to be focused on presentations. We're always going to be talking about previews because that's part of our daily 10-4. We're going to be looking at, scripting around showing and negotiating TC, that kind of stuff. So these are some of the things that we are going to, take a look at in depth here today. So with that said, our overview for the morning is the purpose of scripting and benefits. We're going to look at role modeling and what role play would look like. And then we will recap and have some ahas. We might burn through some of this pretty quick. So we may sooner than we normally would. There's no command integration today, which is all good. But there's plenty of great stuff today. So, a big part of today is, focusing on what scripting is all about, why it's important, how to memorize and internalize. And it really is an important part of your guys' business. And you'll see that as we kind of go through the course today. So, internalizing, memorizing, practicing scripting, what it does is it allows your business to grow. With scripts, you control the conversation by using purposeful language that helps you get to the end point, a closed transaction, right? And I would say, if you're taking notes, purposeful conversations, purposeful language. If you just wing it and make up your own scripting, well, yeah, maybe it'll work, but probably it won't, right? Winging it is not a way to build a business. Scripting and these dialogues and conversations, they help you communicate your value. And once you have internalized scripts, you can add your own value proposition, your own spin, and that's going to help you in your lead gen efforts and lead to closed deals, which at the end of the day, we're looking for closed deals, right? That's what we want? Yeah?
Yes.
We'll raise our hand and say, yeah? All right, good. Love it. Closed deals lead to checks. Then they lead to Vegas. Then they lead to blowing it all on the blackjack table. And that wouldn't be good. I'm just kidding. Don't do that. Put it in the bank. Save your money. Invest in real estate, right? We know. Also, scripts will help you uncover motivations for buyers and sellers, okay? Uncovering motivation is incredibly important in real estate. If you don't know what somebody's motivation is, you have nothing to help you move the needle. You have nothing to draw on to get people to take action, to take that next step, right? So again, incredibly important to using the proper scripting to get the motivations, pull out objections, identify objections so that you can handle them up front, right? I want you guys to write that down. Scripting helps you uncover motivation and identify objections. Those 2 things are incredibly important. It took me a while to learn that if I didn't use a good pre-qual the listing script, and find objections out before I got to a listing, I would be scrambling to try to address an objection. But if I could find out what those objections were before I even showed up to the house, I could spend a day preparing and practicing and you know, get my dialogues dialed in for what I needed to handle. And, you know, how do you get an objection? You ask, right? What's holding you back? Anything that's important to you about selling your house that I should know about, right? So the scripting will help you pull that stuff out. Scripts allow you to have a rehearsed response, And, you know, I know some of you are thinking in your minds about some limiting beliefs, which we're going to address in a minute here, but, you know, rehearsed scripting, it all sounds unnatural, right? And until you internalize and memorize it, it's going to sound unnatural for sure, right? But you'll hear over time that as you adapt and you know, internalize this stuff, you will be completely natural, because the scripting will be a part of you and not just something you're trying to read off of a piece of paper, okay? So rehearse responses that deliver a powerful message in a way the consumer will understand. And that's another big aha for me. Scripting is designed to benefit the consumer, right? Does it help agents? Yes, because it's a rehearsed response. We don't have to think about what to say, but it's really designed to give a higher level of customer service and help the consumer understand when you're trying to get a point across, right? So they also allow you to ask questions in a way that they'll be able to quickly share the information you need to better serve them, right? So again, another great aha, that scripting will allow you to quickly share information. And scripts also are going to, another big aha for me, gain confidence, okay? Sometimes when you go on a listing presentation or a buyer consultation or your first showing or whatever it is, you're going to feel nervous because you don't know what to say, what to do, right? And that what that leads to is making things up and winging it and then stumbling and saying the wrong thing, right? If you want to have confidence, you have to gain mastery. There's this thought called the confidence competence loop, meaning the more competent you are in a subject, the more confidence you will have, right? And the competence comes through repetition and practice, right? I always give an example. Like if I wanted to get good at shooting a free throw on the basketball court, how long would it take me to get good if I took one free throw shot a day? I mean, would you ever get good? Probably not, right? You know, maybe I would sink the first one, right? And then I'm 1,000%, right? And maybe I would just say at that point, I'm an expert, not knowing that I might miss the next 99 in a row. But if I took 50 a day, if I took 100 a day, if I took 500 a day, right? So the more repetition in a condensed amount of time is going to give you more competence, and it's going to give you more confidence. And we'll talk about that later when we talk about role playing, okay? Any questions you guys have before we move on? Nope. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you know me. I need interaction. So if you have questions, just hit that unmute button and interrupt me. I don't mind if you hit me right in the middle of what I'm talking about, even if I'm on a rant. You know, you can just stop me any given time, right? Because the more you participate, the more you're going to walk away.
Nick.
Yes, sir.
Where can I get samples of these besides Google?
That is an amazing question. So guys, get in the chat here real quick. And I'm going to drop a link. Copy and paste that into your browser. That link is a Google Drive with 4 different folders of scripts, 3 different folders of scripts. Some of them KW focused, some of them from like Mike Ferry, which is who I was in coaching with for a big part of my sales career, and some of them from a book called The Book of Yes by Kevin Ward. So there's some great scripting in there. There's buyer consultations, listing presentations, et cetera, et cetera. So there you go. That should be all you will need. Okay. And then also remember, in our Ignite materials, we have the Ignite toolkit, right? And there's a ton of stuff in there as well. And I can pull up a link and drop that in a little bit later. But that's, if you go to kwconnect.com, search for Ignite 2.0 in the student materials, you guys want to download that toolkit. Now we're going to be looking at some of the things in there over the next couple of classes. Okay. All right, let's roll. So understanding scripts. So look at what's written up there. Did you find everything you were looking for? Look around. Let me know if I can help you. I see you checking out the big screen. Are you looking to get one for the big game? So you've probably heard conversations like this before, right? Or the classic one, do you want fries with that? Right? These are all examples of scripts designed to get a response, right? So, and I'm sure some of us have heard some samples like this, right? So here's a question. Can you guys think of any other common examples that you've heard before? Scripting in any profession, real estate or not? Anything you guys can think of? Not really?
Well, if you go to a restaurant or if you get something serviced, they'll ask like, oh, would you like to add, I don't know, some kind of service upcharge.
That's right. That's right. So yeah, they have a script around, right? You should try the Brussels sprouts with that dish, right? They're trying to upsell, right? So, or if I'm at the airport getting a Bloody Mary before my flight, they might say, would you like an extra shot for $1? I always say yes, by the way. So these are all little scripting that's designed to, to get you to spend more money, right? So it's a purpose-built conversation to get a result that benefits, the consumer because they typically make good recommendations, and also the company because it leads to more revenue for the company, right? So all these are very specific. And if you go to any chain or franchise, the scripting is all the same. If you go to Starbucks, they're going to greet you the same way. They're taught to say hello right when you walk in the door, and they're taught to ask you about, potentially they might ask how your day is going, and then they'll ask you, in a specific verbiage, what can I get you for today, right? So they have it dialed in a very specific fashion, and you'll see this with any sales profession that's run at a high level. It's very, very scripted. Okay, so. The phrases on the slides are typically very well known and commonly used in sales and service industries. And those phrases and the ones that are real estate focused are only successful when combined with a person's knowledge of the industry, whether it's electronics, clothing, or real estate. And this is where scripts come into play, right? So in real estate, you might hear things like, would you like to make an offer? Or the one I was taught for listing presentations, all we need to do now is simply sign the contract so I can help you get what you want in the time you want. Won't that be great? Right? That's the classic Mike Ferry close on the listing presentation. And did that sound scripted, by the way? Did it sound like I was reading? You know how many times I've said that in my career, 20 years, right? And, let me back up and tell you guys a little story. When I was brand new, I got my first deal from a cold call. It was a buyer deal. My lender helped me a lot. My broker helped me a lot. And it went relatively well. And I kept cold calling. And I finally got a listing appointment. It was, I think it was a 90808 in Long Beach. And I drove to the house. I was maybe, I don't know, 23, 24, something like that. So I was, I was fresh, right? I was, new in the business, could barely even grow the stubble still. And, I was suited and booted. And I remember it was the middle of summer, hot summer day. And it was probably, in the 90s. Walked in the house, and it was this retired military veteran, and he was a big dude and like just intimidating, imposing presence. And, I was there. I just said, hey, why don't you give me a tour of the house? He walked me through, and then we sat down at this little breakfast nook. And I remember the sun was just beating through the window, like right on my face. And, I had a jacket on and a suit and a tie, and I was just sweating, and I didn't know what to do. And it was obvious, I was nervous and scared. I had no script. I didn't have a listing presentation. And so, halfway through, the guy just said, thank you so much. I've heard enough. I really appreciate you coming by. And he got up and just escorted me to the door, right? And so that was the end of my first listing presentation. I went back to my office, by the way, and I went to one of my buddies, Paul, who had been in the business for 30 plus years, veteran, knew what he was doing. I said, you should go door knock this guy and see if you can get a listing. So he went the next day, came back with the listing contract signed, right? So I couldn't get it done. He went, had it done within an hour's time of getting over there. So luckily he was nice enough to give me a referral fee. At that point in time, I realized my scripting was not going to work, right? And that's when I decided, okay, I got to make a change here. And right around that same time, I had some other things happen, and I ended up getting into coaching. And so I hired a coach, and I was paying $1,000 a month for this person to yell at me and tell me what to do. And he was really insistent on learning the scripts, right? And I was crazy. I kept reading them over and over and over. I would write them out by hand. I would type them up, and I would just keep practicing them until I just couldn't forget, right? So now on a listing presentation, I don't have to like think about what I'm saying anymore. I don't have to think about the questions anymore. I know what the questions are. And what it allows me to do, really, guys and gals, this is like pro tip, expert level. I can sit and just really lock in on the client and see the body language and listen for the way they're speaking to me and the tonality. And I'm not sitting there thinking about my next question. I'm really paying attention to how they're receiving my information to see if I'm on the right track or if I need to shift or pivot, right? And so that's the importance of scripting, is it gives you this power to be able to focus on the client, right? So hopefully my story will scare you enough to realize that you shouldn't be going out to your presentations and winging it. Winging it is not going to lead you to the results that you need, okay? So we know these phrases are typical. We know there's other ones in real estate. And I just sent you the link to all those folders. So there's plenty in there to focus on. I would probably start, by the way, with just listed, just sold. Find the just listed, just sold. And then buyer consultation and listing presentation. Those are probably the three that you really need to think about. And then you can add in objection handlers and things of that nature, okay? So scripts are simply a tool, and they're essential to getting your job done, right? And they're 100% customer oriented and benefit the consumer throughout the conversation, okay? So with that said, when I say the word script probably 100 times already today, right? You guys are gonna immediately have limiting beliefs in your brain. And so what I'd like for you guys to do is think about what those might be. And in fact, we're gonna talk about limiting beliefs here. Why don't you guys go and open your manuals, and let's take a look at page number 5. Page number 5. So on page 5, it asks for you to write down your limiting beliefs around making calls and scripting, okay? So go ahead and take a minute and write down your thoughts on this. If there's anyone that doesn't have the manual, I will drop that into the chat right now. 1 second.
Nick,
Yes, sir.
I see there's 1 second. There's a Ignite 2.0 Labs and then Ignite Trainer, the Trainer 2.0 Labs. Which one?
The labs, not the trainer. Not the trainer.
Okay.
And I just put the manual in the chat for you guys to download if you don't have it already. So remember, limiting beliefs are negative thoughts or self-talk that hold you back, okay? So again, just write down your limiting beliefs around calling and scripting. It says just calls, but I want to hear both, calling and scripting. Evelyn does not see that. Let's see here.
Hey Nick, do you mean page 4? Is that the one?
We are on page 4, correct. Okay, let's see here. When I just try to text it to you, let me know if you got that. So remember, limiting beliefs are these negative thoughts. And some of them that you guys have, especially when you're newer to the business, are around making phone calls, and some of them are around using scripts. So I want you guys just to make some notes around it. It's important to really understand how you operate as a person and how your thinking affects your actions, right? You know, going a little bit into this more, who's taken the DISC profile? Who's taken the DISC assessment, D-I-S-C? Anybody? Okay, a couple of us. If you haven't done it recently, I would recommend doing it again. But, you know, part of gaining mastery in a topic is understanding how you operate as a human. Okay. Some of you are going to be highly analytical and the scripting will be perfect because you'll need to know what to say because you'll be paralyzed without knowing what to say before you go on an appointment. Some of you are so extroverted and naturally expressive and outgoing that you're just going to blow off the scripts because you're just going to wing it and do what comes naturally, right? And that's not necessarily going to benefit you. So we have to understand, like, what are my strengths and weaknesses, and how does my mind work, and how does that benefit or not benefit my ability to produce and sell? Okay, so let me hear what you guys wrote down. Unmute yourselves and tell me, what did you guys write down for limiting beliefs around calling and or scripting?
Sounds silly.
I will sound silly. I love that one. Absolutely. I'll sound silly. What else?
I think I would be limited in it not being so organically versus like kind of robotic, like I'm going down the list and the questions.
Yep. Sound silly. I'll sound like a robot.
They'll
Right.
see right through me.
Say that again.
They'll see through me. They'll know that I don't know what I'm doing.
Oh man, that's a good one. They'll see right through you, right? I'm right.
Inexperienced, weak, nervous.
They'll see inexperience or being nervous, right? So, anybody else? Anybody else got one for me?
I think for me, another one is picking up the cues, like those little, like you mentioned earlier, picking up little things so you can use it for them or for the script.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Without it, you won't be able to do that, right? So, here's the thing, right? Think about this. So sounding silly, sounding like a robot, not coming off as authentic or organic, all those things are great limiting beliefs, right? It's really powerful that this is a limiting belief. You have to recognize it first, right? And then if you really look at what you wrote there, right? Sounding like a robot, sounding silly, that would be the case if you didn't memorize, if you didn't internalize, right? Think about this. Think about actors and actresses. What do they get paid to do?
Memorize.
Get paid to act.
They get paid to act. And when they're sitting there reading around a table, what are they reading?
Script.
They're reading a script, right? They get paid tens of millions of dollars to read a script. Now, they read the scripts with their own spin, right? They put their own spin on it, but they can't do that until they know what the script is, right? They can't do that until they know what the script is. And they're making some of the most money in any industry out there, right? It's the same for you. Now, when you go watch a movie, right, and you see, I don't know who's popular right now, Lin-Manuel Miranda delivering a script from a play he wrote. Does it sound like a robot? Does it sound silly? Right? And how many times has he read his own play? How many times has he read Hamilton, right? He's written it, he's read it over and over and over again and delivered it at such a high level, and look at the success, right? And it doesn't sound silly. It doesn't sound like a robot. It comes across authentic and highly organic, but it's because he has memorized and internalized. So these are all really good, right? And then some of the benefits are avoiding looking inexperienced, right? Being able to pick up on the external cues. So that's really, really good. So here's what I want you guys to do. On the right-hand side of that page, I want you to write down an unlimiting belief, right? A different way to think that will serve you based on the limiting belief. For instance, sound silly versus sound professional. So go ahead and take a minute to do that.
Hey, Nick, can you hear me?
Yep.
I've been sending some notes through the chat. I don't know if you're seeing. Am I able to get a hold of the PDF?
I just texted it to you.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So changing your internal script, guys, by the way, right? These limiting beliefs are the scripts that you have inside already. You have your own scripts. And it's the way you think, it's your belief system. And some of it serves you and some of it doesn't. And when we have things like, I'm going to sound like a robot, that's going to prevent you from being willing to take the time to learn what a presentation should look like. And when you shift the thinking, you change the way that you operate, you recode yourself, as it were, right? Then you're going to have the power to be able to deliver at a high level and create great customer service and get results that you're looking for, i.e. close deals, right? Closing is scripted, okay? So think about that. So a couple of you, go ahead and unmute yourself real quick and just tell me, what is the unlimiting belief that you wrote down?
Sound authentic and genuine.
There you go. Will sound authentic and genuine after you memorize and internalize. What else?
The fear of being rejected, but you actually get the listing, or
Yep.
you actually get accepted.
Yeah, that's a good one, right? Scripting will lead to acceptance, i.e. agreements, right? Sign contracts and closes, right? Winging it won't necessarily get you there. That's good. Awesome. Give me one more. Somebody
Nick,
else.
I put as far as time bothering people. And I think the flip side is, thinking more like I'm trying to help and offer solution.
That's great. So instead of bothering people, we're coming from contribution and value, right? Yeah, I love that. That's awesome. Very good. Very good. Cool. All right, let's keep moving. I love it, right? And, by the way, just real quickly, limiting beliefs. All throughout the day, right, we have thousands and thousands of thoughts. And, I was always taught that we can't control the first thought, but we can control the second one. So when you get to a point where, you're phone prospecting and you're about to pick that phone up for the first call and you say, I don't want to make the calls today. I don't know what to say, blah, blah, blah. You got to recognize that's limiting you, right? That's not leading you to success. You got to catch that in the moment, recognize that your brain just said something, and then take control of your brain and say the opposite, right? I'm going to call and give value to my friends and family in my sphere. And I'm not even calling to sell anything. I'm calling to just check in and do a care call, right? A lot of people that are newer to the business, they can't, get their head around picking up the phone and calling their people on their phone. One, because they haven't done it in such a long time. Two, because they think they're bothering. Three, they don't know what to say. Four, they think they're trying to sell something. And I got to constantly reinforce, you're just checking in and building a relationship, coming from value, right? Just like Jen said, coming from value and contribution and help, right? So think about that and think about the bigger picture in terms of what a limiting belief really is in your brain and whether all of your thoughts are serving you or not, and recognizing that you have the power to reprogram. Okay. A lot of power there. So,
hey, Nick,
yo.
can I ask a question about if your sphere doesn't necessarily know that you've made this career choice, in my case, returning back, how do you recommend that one incorporate that into a conversation if they're doing care calls, or just, hey, I'm touching in, without it sounding like, yeah, but the real reason was I wanted to make sure you knew I'm doing real estate. Like, that just feels like shoehorning it in and not good.
So you want to do a quick role play?
I'm all about it. Let's do it.
Kelly, how are you? I haven't talked to you in a while. How are things going?
Oh, good. Surviving.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. How's the family? How's mom and dad and the kids and everybody?
Oh, good. Mom's cantankerous and dad is out of his mind. It's awesome.
I know he's a bit. You told me last time we spoke he's a bit all over the place, but hey, it is what it is, right? Everybody safe and healthy?
Yeah. I do love my family.
Glad to hear it. How's work going? Are you working from home or?
Yeah, working from home like everyone.
How's the company doing?
Yeah, doing all right. We're hanging in there.
Yeah, gosh, it's crazy these COVID times, huh?
Yeah. How about you? What's going on with you?
Well, I'm glad you asked. Actually, it's been just an amazing blessing. This whole time at home has given me a chance to just go full force back into real estate. So,
wow.
really lucky with that. So, yeah. So, speaking of that, I'm hoping I can count on you for support in my business. Is that okay?
Oh, wow. Of course. God, I love you. Of course. Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that. If you happen to hear anybody that needs to move or anything house related, just always feel free to reach out.
Cool, we'll do.
You been having any fun lately? Getting out? Have you gone out to eat yet? Have you done anything outside?
Yeah, I've taken the scary dive into dining out. It's weird wearing a mask and then, okay, now you can eat. Take off your mask.
Right. Yep. We're my wife and I are like the rule followers. So every time the servers come back up, we're always putting our masks on. And
Yeah, me too.
Any big plans for the holidays? Are you gonna try to do anything?
We're trying to figure out how to make it special in spite of what's going on. My family's finally to the point where they're like, we know you are being really careful, so I'm able to go visit them even though they're advanced in years with some health issues. We're not hugging or any of that, and trying to spend a lot of time outdoors. Yeah, we're gonna navigate it. How about you? What are you gonna do?
We're trying to figure it out. I think maybe just our really, my mom and our kid and probably just come over, and I don't know that we'll do much beyond that, but we'll just kind of see how it goes,
Yeah.
Hey, Kelly, real
Gotcha.
quick, I didn't mean to, tie up your morning, but I wanted to send you some local real estate stuff for your neighborhood from time to time. Is that okay?
Oh yeah, actually, I'd kind of be curious.
Okay, cool. I realize I don't have your email. Would you just rattle that off for me real fast?
Sure, Kelly at housesbykelly.com.
I love it. All right. Very good. So guys and gals, what script did I just use right there?
Board.
Ford. It's that easy, right? I mean,
Wow.
and if you noticed, and Kelly, this is great. I wasn't sure if you were going to, really come and ask me how I was doing. I was kind of a, who knows what happens. Sometimes people ask, sometimes people don't, but you did what most humans would do, which is after you say, how's family and work, they're going to say, how are you doing? And then that's your permission to bring up real estate. And I didn't throw it
Gotcha.
in your face. I just said, I'm so lucky to be, alive and having the chance to do this. Right. So,
Yeah.
did that sound
Okay.
like, by the way, everybody, did that sound robotic or silly or unauthentic or ingenuine?
Oh,
No.
No, it sounded great.
We overthink this stuff, guys. It's not, we make it harder than it needs to be, right? Family, occupation, recreation, dreams, update the contact info, and boom, on to the next call, right?
Okay, so can I slip in one more thing? Because sometimes you do have a friend. I would call them more of an acquaintance than a friend if they behave this way, which is where they never ask how you're doing. And is that just someone that you're like, well, whatever, that's maybe not the kind of person who's going to refer you anyway? Where do you go with that if they just don't ever ask?
So if you hadn't have asked right there, after you talked about your job, and I was waiting for this to happen to see if you were going to ask me how things are going, I would have just brought it up and said, yeah, gosh, I get it. It's crazy out there. And I said that. I said, these COVID times are crazy, aren't they? And
Yeah.
you said yes. And at that point, you also asked. But if you hadn't have asked right then, I would have said, yeah, I've really just been plugging back into real estate and building my business. And so thankfully, I've been able to keep that alive and help people. So, by the way, can I
Okay.
come support? Just bring it up.
Okay.
You're not dominating the conversation with real estate.
Cool.
The
Cool.
focus, guys, is relationships. How's the family? How's the job? What have you been doing for fun? What's the big dream? Right? That was the holiday part of it. So, let's not make it too hard. We don't overthink it. Okay.
And then the goal is to walk away in an ideal case with their best email address, and their the ask is for, would you be willing to support me in my business? Those are the two nuggets.
So here's the 3 goals from these calls.
Okay.
Number one is to book an appointment with somebody that wants to buy or sell a house. That's always the goal for every call we make. So if you were to say, yeah, I want to sell my house or whatever, I would have said, great, when can I come by? So number 1 goal, book an appointment. Number 2 goal is to get a referral, generate a referral to somebody that needs to buy or sell a house.
Okay.
Or rent or whatever, anything real estate related. You notice I
Gotcha.
said anything house related, please call me, right? I'm even setting the tone for, you need a handyman, electrician, a plumber, a termite guy, you
Oh,
want
wow.
a house,
Yeah.
whatever, your friend from out of state needs some help, whatever. I want anything real estate coming to me for a referral, because I'm going to put that person in my database if they do send me a referral, right? And then the 3rd goal is to update your contact record. So make sure you have the email address. The last question I meant to ask, I wrapped it up quick, but I was going to say, are you still over on Palo Verde and Willow? Like I would have asked if I knew where you lived. And if I didn't, I would have asked, where do you live? So I can get you into command and start sending the bi-monthly neighborhood alerts. Okay. So those are the 3 goals: appointment, referral, and update your contact records. If you already have, if you have address, if you have email, then you move on to anniversary dates, social media profiles, birth date, et cetera, et cetera. Okay.
Cool. Thanks.
Cool. Love it. Awesome. That was awesome. Thank you.
Nick,
Yep.
now I know we always tend to do care calls, but when it comes to text message, how do you go there? What would you do if you needed to like touch base with someone that you know you touch base with about real estate? They kind of like said, not now. What would you do about that?
You know, just keep it light. I mean, if they've given you permission to follow up, you know, I would probably still call. If you want to shoot a text, I mean, just whatever. How's things going? Everything okay?
Okay.
Need anything? You know, simple, easy.
So I got 2 people and they're both in the nursing, in the medical field. So they're both nurses. So their schedule is crazy ballistic. So whenever I call, they're like probably in shift or something. So that's why I was like figuring, how do you make it sound organic in a text message that you're just checking up on them?
Yeah, just hope you're well. Anything new at the hospital? What's going on? You know.
Okay.
Here's another little tip, right? When you're making these calls, right? Like you're updating notes. So I would have taken some notes about Kelly and, you know, mom and dad and the family, and she said certain things that I would, you know, write, you know, and I would make a note of that, and then I might incorporate something into a text or into it's something like that, right? So, you know, hey, holidays are approaching, you still having family over? What are you guys up to? You know, like, or something like that, right? You can always key in on those little pieces of information, and that's very powerful too, because, you know, when you show people that you're listening and paying attention, and then bring and regurgitate it back to them, right? That really shows that you're listening, right? And so, you know, maybe one of the texts is real estate related, and then maybe 3 or 4 other ones are just checking in. You know, how's things going? Everything okay? Is there anything I can do for you? Right. So that's why.
Hey, Nick, on this same tangent,
Yep.
Is it in good taste or poor taste to have a whatever you call it, you know, pre-populated, there's the word I'm looking for, pre-populated signature block at the end of your text that looks like it, you know, like, this was sent by my iPhone, forgive the mistakes. But instead it says, you know, with love, Kelly Corsino, Houses by Kelly, real estate made easy, or whatever, you know, like it's just your sign off. That way, you know, when you send that lovely note, you also are still reinforcing that, hey, I'm in real estate.
Sure. Every impression matters. So I'm totally fine with that, or not. I don't think it really matters either way.
Okay.
So go for it. Yeah. Again, guys, just use the scripting, but with the follow-up stuff, do it come naturally, right? You want to send a text and you want to have, you know, a tag at the end of it, do it. You don't want to do that, don't do it. But the doing the text is what's most important, right? So going back and looking at big picture, systematically communicating to our database, right? So, you know, Mario, should I send a text to follow up? What should I say? Send the text, yes, but also make sure your friends on social media, you're posting content, monitor and see if they look at it, so you know you got an impression on them. Make sure they're in the database and getting the bi-monthly emails. Make sure they're getting an MLS drip, right? Another thing to text people, send them an article about rates going lower, or, you know, how hot the market is and why people are buying houses right now, or why people should buy houses, right? That could be like every 5th text as well, you know, but the majority of your communications are just, you know, again, building relationships, checking in on people. And then when they say, I'm ready to buy, then you follow up and keep pushing them to go through the steps, go through the process. Okay.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Great questions, guys. Love it. Love it. All right. So understanding scripts. So like we said, scripts build confidence in your job ability, right? And, you know, I'm not going to say I'm like an expert in anything, but I have read these scripts. I've practiced them. You see how easily forward came off my tongue. It's not hard for you guys either. That's the confidence for me. Like when I role played with you, Kelly, I didn't have to like, oh man, hope I know what to say, right? Because it's just a simple model, a simple dialogue. So that confidence is just knowing the process, knowing what to say, right? And then Scripts allow you to stay focused on the conversation and in the present moment. And so you notice I was able to banter back and forth a little bit about a few things. It's because I didn't have to sit and think, what am I going to ask next? I knew occupation was next. I knew recreation followed that. I knew dreams was after that, right? So it kept me focused and present, right? And then scripts allow for consistency in what is said and actions. The consistency for me is that I knew I needed to bring up real estate between occupation and recreation. I was hoping it came up. It did. Sometimes it won't, but I'll know I need to bring it up. The consistency at the end of the script for me, knowing my goal of capturing contact information, I knew I needed to be able to collect an email address, right? Because my database, I didn't have Kelly's email address. So I had to ask for that. So that is the consistency in getting the actions. If you don't use scripts, what's going to happen, guys? You're going to make these calls. You're going to hang up the phone and you're going to go, oh, I forgot to get their email address. Anyone have that happen already? Right? It's probably happening already. So if you don't have the scripts, you're going to miss out on the key moments, right? I'll give you another story. I remember another listing appointment I went on that I didn't have, a listing presentation. I maybe had the script at that point, but I still wasn't practicing it. And at the end, after I showed the comps, my close was, what do you think? And she said, well, I want to think about it. And I said, oh, okay, cool. I left. Drove by a few days later, someone else's signs in the yard, right? The script said, well, all we need to do now is simply sign the contract so I can help you get what you want in the time you want. Won't that be great? I didn't say that though, right? I missed the dialogue because I hadn't internalized it yet, so I didn't get the close, right? So I'm hoping that these stories and this role play really flushes out the reasoning behind all this stuff. It's not words on a slide here, right? We got to embrace and understand that we need the confidence, we got to stay in the moment, and we got to have consistency in our verbiage to ask for what we want, right? If you go out and show properties and you say, what do you think? They're going to say, we want to think about it. But if you go out and show properties and say, this is a great home, I think you should buy it. Would you like to make an offer today? You're going to get a different result, right? So hone in on that stuff, right? All right, let's keep going. Let's keep going. So how to use scripts. I'm going to, get a little bit into, we're going to watch a video, but we're going to talk a little bit about what the process looks like to memorize and internalize. So, so let's watch the video here real quick. Take notes, by the way, because I'm going to ask for ahas.
Hi, I'm Jeff Glover, and I'm going to tell you the top 5 things that you need to know about using scripts. Step 1, you're going to need to get your scripts from a top agent in the office, your team leader, a maths coach, or of course, Keller Williams University. Step 2, we're going to need to do a total transformation of, instead of talking and telling, of asking questions. Selling isn't telling, selling is asking a series of questions that leads to desired response. So instead of talking so much, we need to get in the habit of asking questions. And asking questions gives us control of the conversation. Control of the conversation gives us our ultimate outcome, which is an appointment set or closing. Step 3, we need to listen with good intentions. Well, what I mean by that is we need to listen to their answers instead of just listening to them talk and asking another question that comes to mind. For example, instead of asking a seller where they're moving to and then going on to the next question, how soon would you like to be there? Ask them, where are you moving to? And when they give you a response, ask them, what takes you there? Step 4 in becoming better at scripts is we need to learn to mimic, mirror, and match the prospect. What I mean by that is we have to listen to their tone of voice. We have to speed up or slow down based on how fast the prospect is talking. That means when they respond and say, we're moving to Toledo. Oh, Toledo, that's exciting. What takes you there? 93% of communication is body language and tonality. And that means only 7% are the words that we say or the questions that we ask. Step 5, we need to take these 5 points and practice them daily. If you think of NFL teams, they practice 50, 60 hours on the practice field for a 1-hour game. Our game is our presentations and our appointments, and we need to practice daily everything that we've learned every single day before we meet with our clients. When it comes to scripts, my biggest aha is that everybody has their own scripts. We're pre-programmed to have scripts, and we're talking and asking questions that are scripted. However, what we found is that most of our own scripts are no good. And so we have to learn the right scripts, the right questions to maintain control of the conversation. Thanks for watching KW Connect. Make it a great day.
All right. I love it. There was a lot of little nuggets in there. So somebody give me some ahas, some things that you wrote down there.
This is my big problem is, stop telling and start asking more questions.
Man.
I'm a talker.
Kelly, that is a huge aha, right? I say this all the time. Great salespeople are great question askers, right? I think I even have a book somewhere laying around that says stop telling and start selling, right? People will tell you exactly what they need if you just be quiet and listen, right? So ask a question. What's important to you about owning a home? Let them talk. And then you just regurgitate it. So if I can help you X, Y, Z, then you'll be ready. Yes, cool. Let's do this, right? So great aha. What else, guys?
For me, I'm one of those, like, I can wing it. Like I get the people portion of it, and I can mimic, mirror, ask questions. But it's the scripts. I need to practice. I need that so I have the knowledge. So that's the big thing for me.
Yep. Practice, practice, practice. You practice so you can't get it wrong, right? And, again, you'll be able to put your personality on it afterwards, right? Because you're outgoing as well. Kelly, same thing. You guys are already extroverted in that regard. So what that means is you have to have the foundation in order to put your spin, right? Once the foundation is there, you'll have a path. You'll have a path to go on, right? Like on a listing appointment, I know I need to tour the home. I need to re-qualify. I need to show the comps. I need to handle objections and close. Like I know that's kind of the flow of my presentation, and I have scripting around that, but I can put my spin on it now, right? Because I have that foundation so built in, right? You guys will have the same opportunity after memorization and internalization. One more aha, guys. What else?
Learning how to ask the right questions that I struggle with.
Yep. The right questions, right? The right questions. That's so powerful. A couple things too. If you guys look at page 5 in your book, it's kind of what we were just talking about. So let's answer these questions. So take a minute. What are the benefits of asking questions versus telling? Secondly, what are some things that you can do in a conversation to show that you're truly listening? And then third, how does tone of voice and body language affect conversation? See, little man, Christian, looking good.
Sorry about that.
It's all good. That was the highlight of my day right there.
That was Mateo.
Yeah. So what are the benefits of asking questions versus telling? What are some things you can do to show the other party you're listening? And then how does voice and body language affect conversation? You guys are doing so good today, by the way. Appreciate your interactions.
I apologize. I just got an inquiry from a client on a house that just dropped in price, so I'm having to multitask.
Sell them a house.
Amen.
So what are you guys writing down? Give me some things you're writing down for the first one. The benefits of asking versus telling.
If you ask a question, it gives the client the opportunity to respond. That way they feel heard. And also it helps to build rapport because the discussion is more in alignment with where their comfort is. You know their language. or what they're looking for. So it just gives you the opportunity to better serve them.
I love that. I love what you said there. You know their language, right? We all speak, in different ways, different accents, verbiage, and you can mirror that as well. But yeah, you're absolutely right. And also, something you said there too. In other words, it's a two-way conversation. Telling is one way. Asking questions is a back and forth, and it's an exchange of information, right? Somebody else, what did you guys write down for this one?
Gives you control.
Keeps you in control of the conversation. Yep, you're right.
Finding their motivation.
Digging, right? Digging for that motivation. And
Yeah.
Go ahead.
My understanding is that we're trying to extract as much information as we can.
That is absolutely correct. And it's as simple as this. What's motivating you to buy? Like, you want the motivation? You ask, what's your motivation? Right? How hard is that? Right? Super simple. Good. Love it. Second question. What are some things that you can do in a conversation to show that you are truly listening? What did you guys write down for that one?
Reaffirm what they are saying by repeating.
Repeat what they said. Absolutely.
Body language.
Yep. What would be an example of body language?
Facial expressions, head nods.
Yes.
Having your body directed towards them. It's a little bit more complicated now because we have Zoom, so it's kind of hard to have some of those things, but definitely head nods. Send them the message that you agree with what they're feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're right. And even on Zoom, though, I can see half of you. I can see most of you, and I can see when you're nodding your head or shaking your head no, or when you pull away from the camera or you lean in. I can see when you're taking notes and paying attention. I can see when you turn the video off and go mess around, get a cup of coffee or whatever it is you're doing back there. So you can still grab all that stuff. But Nicole, you're absolutely right. Nodding your head, yes. Smiling, right? Paying attention, taking notes shows that you're paying attention to them as well. So that's great. How does tone of voice and body language affect conversation?
I think that when you have a cheery tone and you end your sentences with the modulation, that it keeps people engaged. It keeps them feeling excited and positive, as opposed to more, with the down tones. I think that it's really a good idea to try and keep things. You don't even have to be a fast talker. It's just more about, hey, wow, this is kind of exactly what you were looking for, right? That kind of a tone gets people like, yeah, wait a minute, yeah.
Yep. Well, and what if I said the same thing? Hey, this is exactly what you're looking for, right?
Yeah, I'm not feeling you.
So it's super flat, right? And so in that little section of notes, guys, write down this: 55, 38, 7. 55, 38, 7. Who knows what those numbers represent?
It's the percentages of what is the words you're saying versus the body language versus the tone of voice.
Which one's 55?
That is, if I recall correctly, I think that is body language.
Body language is 55. Body language. So 55, right? Body language. 38 is what?
Tone of voice. Tonality,
the way you say the words. And then 7% are the actual words you say, right? We're interesting people, we're humans, and subconsciously we're receiving massive amounts of information through seeing people, hearing the way things are said to us. Are they genuine or not? Is there excitement? Is there truth? We pick up on that, whether we know it or not. We're picking up on this stuff, right? And we're having feelings about how we're being pitched to or presented to. So it's really important to understand that you need to monitor that stuff. I've been really conscious on Zoom, because usually when I'm teaching Ignite, I'm standing in front of you guys. I can't see me, right? So now I can see myself, and I've really been concentrating on smiling more, using my hands more, like leaning in when I want to get my point across on things. that affects things. And I'm really hyper aware of that now, because when I would normally teach Ignite, I wouldn't be able to see those things monitor. And so it's given me this a little bit more ability to create a bigger impact, I think, even over Zoom. And you guys can do the exact same thing. It actually is a little bit of a blessing, because you see how you are, smiling or not, and what you look like, and whether you like that or not, it is what it is, right? Or how we sound, right? All these things, it's kind of a little gift that is pretty powerful, really, if you really think about it. So anyways, that's something I've got an aha about. So, all right, good job. Let's keep going here. Let me just think real quick. Couple other points I want to add to these real fast. Okay, for the first one, benefits of asking questions versus telling. If you just tell somebody something, you could be challenging their beliefs. And if you challenge somebody's beliefs, then you are going to be at odds. You're going to be at conflict, okay? And I talk about this a lot when I talk about setting expectations up with your buyers. If you meet a new buyer and you just start blowing them up saying it's a seller's market, there's overbids, you have to pay more than the list price, they're not going to fix anything, you're going to have to write 10 offers before you get a deal accepted. If you just start telling them all this, right? And they're sitting there thinking, well, wait a minute, I just drove through my neighborhood, and there's a sign on every corner, it looked like. And I see Zillow, and there's like 300 homes in my neighborhood for sale. What are they talking about, right? You're at odds. Boom. You just had a moment of disconnect. And now they're not going to be willing to be receptive, right? So instead of telling, you ask, what do you think about the market? And then when they tell you, whatever they say, who cares? Just validate it. And then you ask, do you mind if I share with you what I see happening in the market? Once they give permission, the wall comes down, and now they're going to be receptive, okay? So that's a really important concept to understand with telling versus asking questions. You have to get permission to give your point of view, because you can't change anybody's mind. You can only shift their perspective once they've given you permission and they're willing to listen to you, okay? For the second point, what are some things you can do to show you're listening? And I want you guys to write down something that Jeff Glover said: mimic, mirror, and match. Mimic, mirror, and match. Mimic and mirror basically means adopting the same body language, adopting the same tonality, right? If they're super like loud and speaking fast, you want to match that. If they're more subdued and speaking slowly, then you need to lower the voice, speak a little slower, right? So you need to mimic that and mirror that, and then repeat and approve what they say. Repeat and approve. That's another great way to make sure you show them that you're listening. Repeat and approve. What that means is, when you say, where do you plan to move to? And they say Texas, you say Texas, wow, that's great, right? Or if you say, when do you plan on moving? And they say, they're going to carry me out of here in a box. You say, oh, they're going to carry you out of here in a box. That's interesting, right? We're still going to repeat it, even if it's a little odd like that. But all you're doing is showing that you're listening to them, okay? You don't have to agree. It's repeat and approve. I understand. That's interesting. Oh, wonderful. That's great, right? And then we talked about body language already. So cool. Let's keep going. Understanding scripts, memorization, and practice lead to internalization of your scripting, which we know. So with that said, I have another question for you, and it's on page, let's see, it's on the next page, page 6. This will be our last little exercise that we'll do together. So I want you to write down the box there, brainstorm 3 negative consequences of failing to learn scripts. Write them down. So what'd you guys write down? 3 negative consequences.
You'll fail to close.
Fail to close. Ouch. By the way, right? That would suck. Ouch. What else?
Not be
You have-
referred. Oh,
Not getting
sorry.
referrals. Not getting referrals or being referred. Yep, you're right.
You have lower confidence. Lower confidence.
Lower confidence. Oh man, that one is so good. Remember, if you don't know your dialogues, you're gonna just be winging it, making it up, and your confidence level will be much, much lower, and you won't be able to present powerfully. What else?
This is the one for me, is getting caught off guard and losing control of the conversation, because, you know, once that happens, like all those other horrible consequences are just a minute away.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. You lose control of the situation. Scripting allows you to stay on track. One more, guys and gals.
You fail to capture necessary information.
Yep, you're going to miss the things that you need in order to effectively communicate whatever value proposition, you know, getting email campaigns, or even just missing something they say because you're thinking about your next question and losing an opportunity to close. Okay, so yes, you're right, absolutely right on all those. Those are really great. I want you guys to write this down. It's real simple. Because of scripts, I sell more houses and earn more income. Pretty simple thought there, right? Because of scripts, I sell more houses and earn more income. That's how you change a limiting belief, okay? All right. If you guys want to move on to page number 7, I just want to show you how to memorize a script. We have a model for that. You know, at KW, we don't make stuff up. We have this model. So basically, it's simple. Read the first sentence out loud 5 times, then repeat the same sentence 5 times while smiling, right? Because you want to have a big smile on your face when you're reading your scripts. And then go to the second line. Say it out loud 10 times while smiling, and then practice those 2 lines from memory. And then keep doing the same process by adding 1 sentence at a time. And then here's another good one. Take your entire script, read it out loud as fast as you can 5 times in a row, or maybe for like 5 minutes straight, right? That's exactly what I used to do. I would take my whole listing presentation, I'd put a timer on, and I would just read the words out loud as fast as I could over and over and over again. Not even trying to get voice inflections or, you know, upswings or downswings or whatever. I was just trying to get the words in my head, okay? And I'll tell you how crazy I was back then. My coach said, I want you to take a recorder and I want you to record all of these scripts. And he gave me a booklet of them. And I want you to record them over Baroque music, which is like a classical style music. And then I want you to play it really, really low while you sleep at night and have this stuff creep into your brain, right? And I remember I would wake up and it would just be, when do you plan on moving? How long have you lived at this address? Where did you move from? What took you to this area? If you were to move, where would you go next? And how soon would that be? Obviously you realize it could take from 1 to 3 months to get a home sold in this market. Did you know that? And you said you wanted to be in Texas by when? All we need to do now is simply set an appointment so I can help you get what you want the time you want. That could be great. So still can rattle that stuff off, right? So if you want to go to the extreme, that's another great way to do it. And the last way to do this is role playing. Getting a script partner and going back and forth and practicing, okay? One little thing that I have to say, when you're learning your scripts, when you're role playing, when you're reading them off the page, it's important that you read them verbatim, word for word. When you're memorizing at the beginning and internalizing, you have to go word for word. You can't wing it. You can't put your spin on it yet because you don't have it internalized yet. And there's very specific things in there, right? Like when I say all we need to do now is simply sign the contract so I can help you get what you want on the time you want. Won't that be great? Won't that be great is a tie down close. It's there for a very specific reason, to get agreement. And I smile and I nod my head yes. And the other person's going to smile and say yes as well, right? But if you say, well, let's book an appointment and we can talk more about that, that's not the close. That's not what it says, right? So you have to get verbatim first. After it's internalized, and you can rattle it off just like I did right now with the Just Listen, Just Sold script, right? After you've internalized it, then you can add your words. Then you can put your own spin on it. And my assumption is you probably won't at that point, because you'll realize that there's very specific words in there for a reason, right? So it'll sound robotic up front, but over time, I promise you, it'll just be a part of you, right? A lot of people, I get this comment from time to time, well, you sound so natural and you're so good at these classes. 20 years ago, man, I'd be shaking in my boots. I didn't know what the heck I was doing, right? I was the sweaty kid that would be shaking because I didn't know what to say. I had to practice this stuff over and over and over and over again. I read my notes for Ignite today, last night, and this morning again through the entire thing, all the slides, everything on the pages. I'm not making this stuff up. And when I'm talking to you often, I'm literally reading out of the manual, right? Blessing of Zoom. You can read your listing presentation because you can have it on the screen. They won't even know, right? In fact, when I was very new taking listings and I didn't have the script internalized quite yet, I typed the whole thing up, my entire listing presentation. I printed it out on my company's letterhead. I would bring it in a notebook. I would open my notebook up and I would put it right there, right in front of me so I could, look down from time to time. And I would say, I wrote down a few notes if that's okay. I want to make sure I don't miss anything. They have no idea that it's a script in front of you, right? They have no idea. I would go door knocking and I would have my script folded up on a little piece of paper just like this. And I would just stand there and I would just say, hey, how's it going? I'd have my notes and I'd just like, hey, nice to see you. Your neighbor just sold a home for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath for 500. And I just want to find out if you happen to know anybody that was thinking about buying or selling a property, right? And I just kind of glanced down from time to time just to see where I was, just to see where I was in the process, right? So use the materials, use the resources, but you got to start verbatim, like I said, okay? Super important. All right, so let me see here. There's only one more piece of this, guys. We're going to wrap up. There are, let's see, 16 of us on the call. And I'm going to ask you a question. Who has a role play partner and is actively practicing scripts right now? Raise your hand. Okay, we got one. I think you're muted.
I was going to say, Jen and I have agreed to do role playing together and scripts together, but we haven't actually started the process yet. So that needs to happen ASAP.
That is exactly right. Thank you for that. Guys, gals, the reason why I asked, if this is time, good, Evelyn, I'm stoked for that. This is your opportunity. You have people that are taking the same course together with you. This is your opportunity to partner up, right? Drop your phone numbers in the chat or private message people. Like, look and see who's coming into these classes and get a buddy and start doing the work, the job, which is to practice, practice, practice until you can't get it wrong. I promise you, as I said, using the scripts help you sell more houses and earn more income. So take it upon yourself. If you want to have a role play partner, drop it into the chat. I'll leave it up for a minute or two so that you guys can coordinate and get a buddy, right? It's so crucial that you have somebody that you're doing this with. No one succeeds alone, right? Gary Keller says this all the time. No one succeeds alone. The good news is you're coming to Ignite. Let's move to the next layer of this, which is to, right, practice with your peers, because you don't want to practice on the public, right? You want to be a professional when you're with the public, okay? All right, let's get back into your manual and we're going to wrap this up. Go to page number 10, please. Go to page number 10. And we're going to do the ahas here. So just go through and answer the questions. How has your thinking changed? What do you feel differently about? What was meaningful? How will your behaviors be different? What actions will you take? And then tools, models, or systems that you will use, and how are they going to make you accountable? So let's be introspective. Let's make your notes here for ahas to wrap up Friday. Ignite. All right, guys. What do we got? So how has your thinking changed? Somebody chime in on this. Let's get a couple for each of these. How has your thinking changed?
I think focusing on the wrong thing. So, you know, in scripts, I was focused too much on the words, but the words actually don't do the justice overall. It's really the body language and tonality. So if I focus less on the words and more on the body language, I hope to get the results that I want.
Love it. Love it. Absolutely. The nonverbal communication. It's interesting as humans, we just don't really pay attention as much as we should to, but subconsciously we're taking in this information and we're giving it out as well. Okay. What else? Somebody else. How has your thinking changed?
I think that I did not really understand how critical the scripts were. And now I realize that it is super critical so that I can just be a better listener if I already have all that stuff memorized, which will then allow me to listen and get the information I need to close the deals.
Absolutely. I love that. That's great. Great, Brooke. Thank you for that. Okay. Next, what was meaningful? What do you feel differently about and what was meaningful for you today? What did you guys write down?
Well, I have a changed mindset, and my new mindset that I've adopted during this call is that because of scripts, I will sell more houses and make more money.
Boom. Drop the mic. That's right. That is exactly right. I love that. Somebody else. Somebody else. What do you feel differently about? What was meaningful for you today?
I'd have to say it's kind of telling myself, changing my thoughts. I like scripts. I love scripts.
Wow. That's actually huge. Jen, thank you for saying that, right? And did let me ask you a question. Did you believe that when you just said it? Be honest.
A little bit.
Okay.
I keep telling myself.
That's right. That's exactly it. That's why I asked you guys, okay? Because all of you are probably
We're gonna learn to love them.
right.
I could hear your tone of voice, Jen.
Yeah. So here's the thing, right? When we start working on limiting beliefs and we start saying what we want our new belief to be, at the beginning, we're not going to necessarily believe it 100%. But as you tell yourself this over and over and over again, right? Not just one time today, but over again. I love scripts. I'm going to practice today. I love scripts. They benefit me. When I use my scripts, I love them and they help me make more money. It takes time to change your mindset, right? 30 to 60 days minimum, okay? So it's great that you recognize it and now you just got to incorporate that into your new thinking, right? So I wanted to like really pull that little nugget out because it's super powerful. So awesome. All right, number 3, actions. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? What are the actions, guys?
Well, obviously practice scripts.
Sorry.
You both said the same thing.
Practice scripts.
I'm going to practice the scripts and read them, right? Read them over and over and practice them. Read them out loud. Read them out loud.
Find a script role play partner.
Let's find a role play partner. I don't know if you guys can do this or not, but on the chat, do you guys have the 3 little dots? Can you save the chat? Is there a save chat link?
There is, Nick. I do see it.
Yes.
Cool. If you click that, you can download everybody's numbers and emails. You guys can like get on a group thread and interact with everybody. Okay. All right. Last question, and we're going to be done. Tools, models, systems. What are you going to use? Tools, models, and systems.
Forward, and forward.
There you go. I love it. Forward. Don't overthink it. Forward. That's a model. We call that a model, right? One more. Somebody else contribute.
Well, as far as systems for scripts, I mean, I'm just going to rip you off and, memorize, in those different modes, like read it real fast. And then, just have it in my working mind. So
yep.
Read it real fast, record it, and then practice it.
That's right. That's right. Use the model. Remember, we just looked at a whole model on how to memorize and internalize the scripts. It's in your course workbook. That's a tool. Take advantage and use it. All right, folks, 11:18. We're going to be done for today. I appreciate you all. Hope you have a great weekend. I will see you on Tuesday. I'm going to leave this up for just a minute while you guys need to, if you want to download the chat, capture emails and phone numbers. Excellent. And I will be back with you next week. All right.
Thanks, Nick.
You are welcome.
Thank you. Have a great weekend.
Yeah.
Thanks, Nick.
Looking forward to some DJ jams, Nick.
Maybe this week. Maybe this week. This weekend. You got it.
Weekend, maybe. Okay. Have a good weekend, everybody.